The lights of New York were shining bright, and the roar of Arthur Ashe Stadium carried a different kind of energy on that night. It wasn't about Grand Slam pressure, match points, or championship dreams. Instead, the U.S. Open crowd was treated to something they had never seen before at this stage. Four of the biggest names in tennis, Carlos Alcaraz, Madison Keys, Taylor Fritz, and Sloane Stephens, took to the court not with their usual rackets, but with pickleball paddles in hand. What began as a fun crossover experiment quickly transformed into an unforgettable moment, packed with laughter, competitiveness, and drama that left fans around the world buzzing. When Carlos Alcaraz stepped onto the court, fans erupted instantly. The reigning star of men's tennis, known for his charisma and electric shot-making, was grinning ear to ear as he twirled his paddle in the air. By his side, Madison Keys looked equally excited, soaking up the cheers. Their chemistry was instant, feeding off each other's energy as the crowd roared for the unlikely duo. On the opposite side of the net, Taylor Fritz and Sloane Stephens carried a mix of playful confidence and quiet determination. Both Americans were no strangers to entertaining a New York audience, but this time they were on a mission to defend their turf in the city that had celebrated some of their biggest career highs. From the very first point, it was clear this was no casual exhibition. The crowd gasped as Alcaraz dove across the tiny pickleball court, flicking a forehand angle that even seasoned pickleball pros would have applauded. Madison Keys followed with her trademark firepower, smashing a winner that nearly took Fritz off his feet. The stadium roared as if it were a U.S. Open final. The playful smiles on all four players' faces quickly shifted into focused determination. What was supposed to be light-hearted was now dripping with competitive tension, and the fans loved every second. Fritz and Stephens were quick to strike back. Sloane, with her effortless footwork and ice-cool composure, began finding perfect angles, making Madison scramble. Fritz, known for his booming ground strokes in tennis, adapted quickly to the compact pickleball format, showing off surprising finesse with his soft hands at the net. One rally in particular had the crowd on its feet, Alcaraz chasing down shot after shot, sliding and lunging with his paddle until Stephens finally threaded the ball through a tiny opening. She threw her hands in the air as the crowd exploded, and Fritz lifted his paddle like a trophy. It was clear, this was no longer about fun. Pride was on the line. What made the night even more emotional was how the players let their personalities shine through. Alcaraz's joy was infectious. Every time he pulled off a miraculous shot, he turned to the crowd with his signature boyish smile, pumping his fists like he had just won a slam. Keys, who has always worn her emotions on her sleeve, laughed out loud after missing an easy ball, only to come back the next point and smash an unreturnable winner. Fritz and Stephens, on the other hand, shared subtle glances and nods, silently feeding off each other's calm energy. It felt less like a match and more like a battle of personalities, with the crowd switching sides depending on who created the last magical moment. Then came the rally that will live in highlight reels for years to come. The score was tight, tension was high, and both teams refused to back down. Stephens sent a delicate dink just over the net, forcing Keys forward. Keys flicked it up, but Fritz pounced, drilling it straight at Alcaraz. In a flash, Carlos leapt sideways, his paddle outstretched, and flicked the ball back with an impossible angle. The crowd gasped. Fritz dove but couldn't reach it, and the ball landed cleanly inside the line. Alcaraz fell to the ground laughing, while Keys jumped in celebration. Fans inside Arthur Ashe rose to their feet, screaming like they had just witnessed a Grand Slam winning shot. The energy was electric, and even Fritz and Stephens couldn't help but laugh in disbelief at the magic they had just seen. What made the event so powerful wasn't just the competitiveness, but the joy. After a year of intense battles on the tennis tour, seeing these stars let loose, try something new, and entertain with such passion was refreshing. Fans felt like they were part of a secret, once-in-a-lifetime moment. Pickleball, often joked about as tennis's little cousin, suddenly felt like it had earned a place in the spotlight thanks to the brilliance of four players who poured their hearts into every point. The blend of rivalry and laughter created an atmosphere unlike anything tennis fans had experienced before. As the match reached its climax, both teams pushed each other to the limit. Keys' booming forehand drives, Alcaraz's unbelievable athleticism, Fritz's steady hands, and Stephens' tactical brilliance created a spectacle that blurred the line between sport and show. Every point brought the crowd higher to its feet, and every rally felt like it carried the weight of history. When the final point was played, with Alcaraz once again producing a jaw-dropping winner that sealed the victory for him and Keys, the stadium erupted into chaos. Fans screamed, waved their phones in the air, and chanted the names of their heroes. Alcaraz and Keys hugged tightly, overwhelmed by the moment, while Fritz and Stevens raised their paddles in respect, smiling as they soaked in the applause. What followed was perhaps the most emotional scene of the night. The four players stood together at center court, arms around each other, as the crowd gave them a standing ovation that seemed to last forever. There were no losers here, only winners, of the match, of the moment, and of the fans' hearts. Cameras captured Alcaraz holding up his paddle like a Grand Slam trophy, Madison Keys laughing with tears in her eyes, and Fritz and Stevens bowing playfully to the roaring audience. It was a celebration of sport, friendship, and the magic of doing something different. For fans watching in the stadium and around the world, this was more than just a pickleball match. It was a reminder that sport is about joy, connection, and the ability to surprise. Four tennis stars, stepping outside their comfort zones, had delivered a moment of pure magic that will be remembered for years. And as the lights dimmed and the echoes of cheers faded, one truth was clear. On this night at the US Open 2025, history was made not with rackets, but with paddles, laughter, and hearts wide open. Would you like me to also create a thumbnail design prompt for this so your video can hit max virality?